Hello YouTube, Hoosier Roger here. This is Thirsty Thursday, and I'm going to do the first review of a whiskey. Yeah, we're moving up the food chain a bit. Uh, in the old 1950s green mug, we have Bulleit 95 Rye, which is 90 proof. You can't see it in here, but I did look at it in the bottle, and it has a very nice walnutty amber. It's fairly dark color. Uh, there's a yeah. I tend to agree with the website, Bulleit's own website. It does have. There's a clean aroma, but it's reminiscent of oak. Well, let's give it a taste. Oh, by the way, the reason that it's called 95 rye is because it's actually the highest percentage of rye of any rye whiskey. It's actually 95% rye, 5% malted barley. So, here we go. Once more into the breach, dear friend. Huh. That's a very complex flavored rye. There are a little bit of a burn on the back end because it is 90 proof. Or as Leather Jacket Guy over in Ireland says, 90 octane, I think he calls it. Yeah. There's a little bit of spiciness. You're going to think I'm crazy, but there are vanilla notes in this. Not strong, but they're there. There's definitely some. I can't exactly. You get the sensation of spiciness. It could just be that 90 proof whiskey has a burn to it. But it's got a very pleasant flavor. A tiny, tiny bit astringent. Nothing off-putting, though. Very high octane whiskey, vodka, gin. They're all going to have a mild to very strong astringent quality in the mouth because of the high level of alcohol. This is sipping whiskey. I'd uh, I'd have to say that okay, when rye started making their way back into the scene, when I first way back just after Prohibition, when I first started drinking. No, I'm not really that old, but anyway, uh, back when I was turning 21, uh, there was Jim Beam Old Number 7 Rye. I believe that's what it was called. And that was uh, quite different than Jim Beam Bourbon. Uh, when they made a reintroduction, the first rye that I tried was Knob Creek Rye, and that's not 95% rye. and it has some notes. The Knob Creek rye has some notes reminiscent of bourbon. This one actually, just some, okay? I'm not saying, oh, that's just a slightly different flavored bourbon. No, I'm not saying that. Their rye whiskey is a cousin to bourbon, so, if for the lack of a better way of putting it. And I think Knob Creek is slightly superior to this one. I gave Knob Creek almost a 5, believe it or not. I never rated that in a video, but that was the last rye I tried. When I made the Toast to My Friend, if you saw the video, A Toast to My Friend, that was Knob Creek bourbon. This Bullet 95 bourbon Frontier whiskey, well, that Frontier whiskey is a clue. This is not a genteel sipping whiskey. There's a little bit of roughness to this, but it's pleasant. I mean, you know, it's not, it doesn't beat you up, it doesn't burn your throat immensely. When I did the professional type taste and I sucked in air to get some of the volatile notes, well, you noticed I did cough a little bit. Well, that's because I aspirated a little bit of this, and you never want to aspirate alcohol. I'd give this a 4.25. I gave Knob Creek a 4.75. I don't like this. I like this, but I don't like it quite as much as I liked the Knob Creek. But that I still would have to decide between the two. Probably will try a different company's rye in the near future. But anyway, 4.25 out of 5. If you're somebody who enjoys a sipping whiskey, I wouldn't do this as shots. That would be power drinking, and that's not my style, but well worth a try. After work, aperitif would definitely be an appropriate place for this. A sundowner, as my ex-father-in-law used to say. You know, a drink to watch the sun go down. This might actually be improved by a little bit of branch water. Not a lot. You don't want to completely dilute it, but... And by the way, water is a good addition to whiskey for flavor reasons. Ice actually destroys some of the flavor in whiskeys. If you want cold whiskey, put it in the refrigerator. That's more than an opinion, though. There's science behind that. Yeah. I think that'll be on my list. Well, anyway, that'll complete this Thirsty Thursday. I'm sorry I have a lack of enthusiasm. I was hellaciously busy today. So, I did have today off, but I stacked it up with errands. I started running errands at 6 o'clock in the morning. I finished at 6 o'clock in the evening. So, I'm a bit more tired than I would be after a day at work, to be quite honest. Because what we did have a fairly pleasant day here today, mid 80s instead of mid 90s, and a little bit lower humidity. Always a plus in my book. Well, God bless, happy trails, and watch your top knot.